This is very weird. This is very odd. Yes, I always keep odd numbers. I don't have even numbers and the fraction of time and space. Okay? The fraction, you will have to fraction 10 from 2 instead of using math. That's your astrophysics. This one's 1900s. Ominous warning. It says from 1900s, around the Titanic here 100 years ago, which I failed to heed when ominous warning. Heed warning from ominous. That's the Olympics. Okay. Over by Georgia Floor Line. That Chevron payphone I was talking about. It says, here lies Hampshire Garnier, who caught his death drinking cold small beer. A good soldier is ne'er forgot, whether he death by muskets or by pot of gold. We landed in England, and I visit Winchester. Much moved. I wander outside. My attention was caught by a drogo in an old tombstone. And that's a tombstone. Chapter 1, Bill's story. Ominous warning, which I failed to heed. Warning. 22, and a veteran of foreign wars, illegal alien wars. I went to home at last, for not the men of my battery giving me a special token of appreciation. That means there's 100-year-old bunch of science over there, and their talent for leadership, they imagine, will place them at the head of that vast enterprise, which I would manage the most assurance to reassure people. Every day, every night, it was fun to Karma of Karam around the exclusive course which had inspired such awe, and as a lad I acquired to an petable coat of tan, which is known as brown. One sees upon well-to-do. A local banker watched me whirled and fat cheeks until amused by skeptics. Hell broke loose on New York Stock Exchange in 1929, October. After one of those days of infernos, I wobbled from a hotel bar to a brokerage office. It was 8 o'clock, 5 hours after the market closed. The ticker still chattered. So right Olympics. I was staring at an inch of the tape, which bore the inscription XYZ32. It had been 52 that morning. Out of XYZ of 32. I was finished, and so were many friends, the papers reported. Men jumping to death from the towers of high finances. That disgusted me I would not jump. I went back to the bar. My friends had dropped several million, 10 o'clock. So what? Tomorrow was another day. As I drank the old furnace, determination to win came back. Next morning, I telephoned a friend in Monterey. He had plenty of money left and thought I had never gone to Canada, but I had better to go to Canada. By the following spring, we were living in a custom style. I felt the Napoleon returning to Edba. No St. Helen for me. For St. Helen was near Hitler and Nazis, the opposites of the Jews. Only Jewish fossil so far, but you can go to the Spy Museum to hear about that. A Spy Museum also has CIA and PD activity. There's that LSD. It's also near Pegasus, which was the gods and goddesses around Hercules. But Zeus had a daughter instead of a son, and she was the goddess of democracy. And they had the god of Hades and the afterlife. It's not a religion. It's the statues and atheism, around atheists, the locations, Athens, the place of Greece, the place of Greek, and the place of Rome. But drinking caught up with me again. My generous friend had to let me go. This time we stayed broke. We went to live with my wife's parents. I found a job and lost it as a result of a brawl with a taxi driver. No one could guess that I was to have no real employment for 5 years, but hardly draw the sober breath. My wife began to work in a department store, coming home exhausted to find me drunk. Sobra is to do a gathering that is like, instead of saying bring it on, they would say sobra and sober. But that's Greek, from the location of Greece. That's the location. It's not food. It's not kind of great. I became an unwelcome hanger on a brokerage place. Liquor increased to be a luxury. It became unnecessary. Bathtub, gin, 2 bottles a day, often 3, got to be a routine. Sometimes a small deal would net a few $100s, and I would pay my bills at the bar. This went on endlessly, and I began to waken every early in the morning, shaken violently. A tumbler full of gin, a tumbler full of gin, followed by half a dozen bottles of beer, would be required if I were to eat any breakfast. Nevertheless, I still thought I could control this situation. There were periods of sobriety which renewed my wife's hope. And everyone thinks that, okay, everyone kept thinking that this is what happened. They're like, they thought, okay, I never had any kids with any of my friends. And when we did have kids, it's a bunch of women and men. And we were all living under the same household. And we started adopting more people and their kids when I was living in the location of Greece. But my old job in Rome, now these are active places, people and things, okay? There's locations. But everything was named Georgia because, I don't know, Las Vegas is Georgia to me too. I don't know why. It's just the comfort. You just gotta say Georgia and they're like, oh, okay, yeah. This is Georgia too. Everything looks and appears like Georgia and Las Vegas. Los Angeles did too. Now, I was on and off in transportation with them for like 10 years. And on and off with these gigs, these small unpaid jobs. Because it's unpaid training. But, it was good. It was nice. Yeah. Because I accidentally learned Romanian. Because I had to learn Romanian in order to work at the thrift store. Or to work at their gas stations. Like Texaco. I know that's obsolete over here and that's also over here. That's all I remember from the Pikes.